Today on the Parlance podcast, we welcome a committed human rights activist and a public servant who's been serving his community for nearly a decade. From winning his first political office seat as a Democratic Precinct Committee member in 2018 to being featured in the New York Times, he carries on his family legacy of public service while paving his own path. With plans to run for public office again in the near future, his mission is clear: to bring real change to the people that he serves. Everybody, please welcome a great man and my again brother, Tawayne McGee.
Mr. Merritt, thank you very much, buddy.
Man, look, what you're doing is amazing, man.
I must say, I do thank you. What you're doing is amazing.
Thank you, man. That means a lot, man. That means a lot, man. This is we just started, man, but the goal is to speak to people like yourself, people who are out here trying to make change, people out here promoting positivity, people whose perspective on life is one that could be conducive to us moving forward as a people. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get to know you a little bit. We're gonna talk about what you're doing today. So first question I have, man, let's hear about Tawayne McGee's upbringing. What was life like growing up?
Well, Mr. Merritt, once again, Get Academy brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're a proud Get Academy brother. 2014 it's been over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we getting old, man. Yeah, we getting old, man. Shit.
Time is flying.
Yeah, man. So I grew up in the Glenville and Collin communities in Cleveland, Ohio. Born and raised in Cleveland. I must say, like, growing up in between those two communities, you know, you face a lot of wake-up calls. Mm-hmm. Really, mostly, you know, when it comes to gun violence and you know, just all around like negative energy.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's something because, you know, once again, going to Get Academy, Mr. Ted Ginn Sr., his son Ted Ginn Jr. grew up in the Glenville communities too, so they know how it is when it comes down to the violence, but also some positive changes in the area as well.
Correct.
I must say, when I became of adulthood, I knew I had to move out of said neighborhood.
Yes.
I said to myself, this neighborhood is a part of me, but I cannot be a negative example of this community.
Correct.
So I have to go elsewhere to find said calling.
Okay.
So I end up moving to Old Brooklyn. And when I moved around there, that's when I kind of found my calling, more higher calling to public service.
Okay.
Because I said to myself, it's more than just the east side of Cleveland. It's the west side of Cleveland, the whole Cleveland city. You just can't focus on one community, because when you're a public servant, you're serving everyone.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, when you become an elected official, of course, when you're representing a ward or a district councilman or a state rep, sure, you represent them because you go to Columbus or you go to City Hall in Cleveland and you are elected to represent them, no matter what political party, Republican, Democrat, Independent. You are elected to represent the people that you are elected in your area.
Right.
I've ran for public office, my first time running. Democratic Precinct Committee. I ran when I lived in Oak Brook. Ran in 2018 on the Democratic side. I won. I didn't know what elected officials all do. I knew bits and snippets, but it wasn't until I got fully elected I knew how the process goes.
Okay.
And with that said, because like any activist who possibly has not held public office, you know, they can read books on how a political position may be, but until they actually get inside and get elected, then they will understand how the process goes.
Okay.
Of course.
So, man, you're doing big things out here. So, you know, like you said, you know, we both went to the Get Academy, and we both grew up in that area. You know what I'm saying? So for me, though, when I went to Get Academy, it changed my life for the better. And I will say, because at that particular point in my life, I didn't really take my life serious. Like, I knew I wanted to be more, but I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do to be conducive to becoming more. And I remember, and maybe you remember it too, the senior class, we had got in trouble. and we went down to, I think, the room that we were getting taught health in, and Ted Ginn tore into us. And that whole day, we all moved around differently. But what he basically said was, it's not, the world doesn't care about us. And there's going to be few men in the world who will do what Ted Ginn did and put his neck on the line for men that look like me and you that have a fighting chance. You know what I'm saying? So that's my perspective on it. So let me ask you, like, did anything at Ginn, I guess, motivate you to become what you were? Because like I said, for me, it motivated me to take my life seriously. That's why we're on this couch today, you know?
I figure that's the reason why we're both on this couch.
Yes, sir.
Besides from the invitation, but, but even just existing in life, my friend, just existing in life. Now, I didn't go to Ginn Academy all 4 years of my high school career.
Yeah,
I didn't get there until my 11th grade year.
Yeah, me too.
So I think we came in around the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe if I went there all 4 years, I probably would have a straight viewing, but based on the viewing that I do have, maybe partial. But yeah, you know, they won me over with the blazers and the necktie. so you know, I'm like, neckties and blazers in school. This might be all right.
Yeah.
But you know, that besides from the uniform, but it also taught me how to carry myself,
right?
Too.
Right.
And you know, like we have our mottos when it comes to our Ginn Academy.
Yes.
Like it's okay to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to be like everybody else. Like, because most everybody who went to Ginn with us, they play football.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't into football.
Yeah.
No, I was into, like, you know, I think a little bit of entertainment. Yeah. Yeah, like you was the singer and stuff like that. I was doing stand-up comedy. So
piggyback off of that, I remember you used to do comedy. Mm-hmm. Was there anybody at the time who you could say you were like looking up to, or somebody you kind of modeled your comedy after?
Oh man, there was so many greats, man. Still is so many greats, man. You know, of course, you know, I got to dedicate Cleveland's own Steve Harvey.
Okay.
You know, so I got to put that out there. Arsenio Hall as well too.
Okay.
But I mean, they had like the Eddie Murphys and the Red Fox. You know, you're gonna go that back. I was thinking, got my hat on. I was like, hey, you got your Red Fox hat on. I'm like, yeah, that's coming from back then. You watch Stand for the Sun all the time. And then this generation was like, yo, man, you look like Neo. I'm like, I can't sing like the man. I can do a little dance, a little shimmy, but you know, he's making the money. So, you know, and for you, my friend, you know, you're the singer, man. You're the man. So,
thank you.
Like, I see you perform, man. You do good, man. Keep on doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, it's an honor to even have you on the couch, man. Because like I said, I was going through Facebook, bro, and I really don't get on Facebook often. But I was going through and I seen some of the things you were doing, and I was like, oh my God, like he's actually out here making change. And you know, so I did my research on you, and like I said, so for you to call me the man, it means a lot because I think you the man, bro.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, you could actually Google somebody and be like, oh damn. Like, this is my homeboy been in the New York Times newspaper. Like,
so hey, we gonna get there. So you said you started in entertainment.
Yeah.
And then you switched to the human rights activist. What was the motivation behind that?
You know, politics was never my career goal. It was not my career goal. The peak of it, where it first started, basically, was when the Republican National Convention came to Cleveland in 2016. That was when Donald Trump was running for president, and you know, the Obama era was over. You know, it was time to pick a new president, and of course, you know, you're looking at both parties. Hillary Clinton was the Democrat pick, and Donald Trump was the Republican pick. And with the RNC being in Cleveland, and I was in that transition of going from entertainment to politics. And I told myself that, okay, which one can I really make an impact on? Which one can I really help people? And I said to myself, you know what? I tried to hold on to both.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, you know what? I'm mostly doing more public service as an activist, as a person of the political process. So I kind of dropped the mic on the comedy. And I picked up the mic on suits and public speaking and all that. So, and it's something because there's only few people, and I've seen comedians actually do this, do comedy and politics at the same time, not run for political office, but kind of back the candidate, kind of like Dave Chappelle. He's Ohio based. And he's not afraid to speak his mind when it comes down to politics. And he's a legendary comedian.
I think that's if you ask me, that's the GOAT. Dave Chappelle. So, you know, we talked about your childhood earlier. We talked about how you kind of went from entertainment to the human rights activist. Was there anything from your childhood that kind of motivates you or you keep in mind when you're doing the public service? There are things that motivate you, like things like experiences that you went through or things that you've witnessed that you carry with you through your activism?
Oh man, like experiences, man. I mean, like starting like once again, like nearly being in public service for nearly 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot, man. I was shaking hands with a lot of people who I thought I would never meet in my life. I like, you know, it's one thing when you in history class in high school or middle school or whatever level of school that you're in, and you read about these legendary activists or like say it was Black History Month. You know, you might do a report on like Malcolm X or Dr. Cornel West or Reverend Al Sharpton, but when you actually, you know, what some of the activists are passed on, and some of them are still living today. But when you actually meet them, man, either it can make you or break you. And what I mean by that is based on like you can have this agenda, like, oh man, like they, and this is some, not all, but you know, like man, they are so great. But when you actually meet them, they can be basically not so good. You know, and this is some, not all. But meeting legendary activists and actually asking advice and stuff like that, a lot of them actually gave me good advice. They said, you know, keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, you're still young. You know, don't give up. You know, and as I ask them questions, I'll be like, man, has this been your calling, your purpose? Because not everybody knows their purpose at the beginning. You know, but when you actually find it, hold on to it. And if you can't be the best, then be one of the best. You can't be one of them.
So, my notes tell me that you ran for city councilman in 2021.
Yes.
How did that go, and what could you take away from that?
Yes, I ran for Cleveland City Councilman in a ward called Ward 12. At the time, it was on East Side Slavic Village, like Fleet Avenue, Broadway, East 71st Street, Harvard. And then the west side part was parts of Tremont or Brooklyn, where I had lived at the time, and Tremont and Brooklyn Center, a lot of west side areas connected at the time. And when I ran, because at that time I was just finishing my first term as a precinct committeeman, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to run for council. And I mostly got that energy from the people that I represented as a precinct committeeman. It was like, Mr. McGee, you're young. At that time, I was like in my mid-20s. And the current incumbent at the time, he was in there for 16 years. He was an elderly, I believe, Italian gentleman. He grew up in the neighborhood, at Slavic Village. You know, but a lot of people who knew him, they really weren't satisfied with him as a politician. So I decided to pick up a petition, collect signatures, and run for Cleveland City Council.
Okay.
And he had never had a primary until that time because it was like three of us running against him. Now, I do tell you, Slavic Village is predominantly African American, but it's a low voter turnout within the African American community. Not just in Slavic Village, but I think within the city of Cleveland. And listening to voters, like they say we're getting tired of these politicians, they make promises, but once they actually get inside, they don't keep them. You know, they let the money and the power get to their heads and everything too. I say, well, I do tell you this. You know, and you might think of me as a politician, but I like to use the word public servant because the word politician can be used in a negative way at times, and I wouldn't want to be put in that area.
I got you.
Even though politician is an easier word to say, but public servant is more my idea, more of my service. No matter if it's donating turkeys or you know, just even helping the homeless. Because at a time in my life, I could have been one of them. Yeah, at a time in my life, I could have been one of them. After high school, you know, we could go off to college, you know, because I remember everybody that we went to school with, they was like, man, I'm gonna go to the NFL, man. I'm gonna go to the, college first, then the NFL. But some of them who did not make it, they fell into turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I'm gonna buy my mama a house and all that stuff too. But, as they say, always have a plan B, and I did at a later time. I didn't have a plan B at that time because once again, I graduated from high school, I was gonna go to college. That was my plan. I stuck with it. But life happened. Just like life happens when it comes unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
Like once again, you can make plans, go to the NFL, buy my mama a house. But if you don't get the NFL draft pick or you don't get that college scholarship, then it's like, damn, I invested my life in playing sports and I thought it would pay off, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's like you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
You don't know where to go. But if you have a backup plan, you can kind of dig yourself out of that ditch.
Yeah.
So as they say, it's always good to have a plan B. So it seems like public service is my plan B. Didn't expect it to come my way, but now that it did, I'm very happy that I took that road.
Yeah, man. You seem to be very enthusiastic about public service. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that, like I said, when I was looking through Facebook, I was like, he seems happy to service people. You know what I'm saying? To serve people, period.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of public service, I watched the interview that you did with Sarah White.
Oh, good morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you said that a problem that you noticed was that the people weren't being heard by the elected officials, and that you had a plan to create group, United Front, and more so make sure that these elected officials hear what the problems are. So how could that, first of all, what are some of the problems that you would like to bring light to, and how could that potentially change how things are going for us?
Okay. So as a human rights advocate and activist, I had to, and this is after my city council,
Mm-hmm.
totally didn't win. I was like, you know what? What matters to humans? What matters to humanity?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you hear about civil rights, Jason Jackson, everyone else. Civil rights. Human rights matters. Now, human rights compared to civil rights, there's a lot of comparison. But I mean, I'm not just here for the Black community. I'm here for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Dr. King said this: there's only one race, and it's the human race. Now, although I have never met Dr. King, God bless his soul, I've met his daughter, Dr. Bernice King. Had a quick conversation with her for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. Met her at Kent State University. She was a speaker there, and I got a chance to meet her. Had a little window of conversation, but she just said, once again, keep doing what you're doing. Man, when you shake hands, if not the legendary figure, but if you shake hands with the descendant of that legendary figure, it's wonderful, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's like the bloodline. You can't meet the Kennedy, JFK. You can't meet RFK. But if you can meet like the descendant, like the kids or the sister of the famous Kennedys or the Kings, then it's a wonderful thing, man.
Yeah.
And that bloodline, it's a wonderful bloodline. Although they endured terrible tragedies from their fathers, their uncles, whoever they're related to, assassinations. But even for them, they don't let that negative energy stop them from continuing on their family's legacy and also with the public service that their family started. Human rights matters on behalf of the people. I had to listen to them. I said, listen, what matters to you that you feel like the current incumbent is not paying attention to? And this is when I was running for council. And I can meet Ms. Chadowski in Slavic Village, but I could also meet Ms. Robinson in Old Brooklyn, but still a part of Ward 12 at the time. And they can say, oh, we abandoned housing, or potholes in the streets, or maybe public transportation, better communication when it comes down to authority figures such as police, because police is also a big matter too.
Yeah.
Like Cleveland's own Tamir Rice, November 2014. We had just graduated high school, and what happened to Tamir Rice? He was only like 12 years old, maybe a little younger, and I'm like, man, I got to do something. This is 2014. This is like a few years before I decided to get into public service. And I've met Tamir Rice's mom, and she still continues to fight to this day. I believe she sued the city, and she got awarded millions of dollars. I think they probably use it as hush money, but no, she used it as a way to fight against the system, as a way to fight for a child. Because for me, I'm not a parent, but I got nieces and nephews. But even if I was a parent, I'm like, listen, you can give me these millions of dollars and try to shut me up, but listen, I'm going to use this money as seed money to fight against the system. Because my child deserves to live. My child deserves to have a life like every other human being in this world.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, I'm going to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
I know you said that it took a little while for you to transfer from entertainment to the activism. But, like you said, Tamir Rice happens in 2014, and we're both just graduating high school. You see that happen, you go, I got to do something. Do you see at that moment any changes happening within you that could lead to where you are now?
Well, I'm 30. Just to make it at 30 as a person of color in the US of A, it's a blessing.
Oh, yes, sir.
Especially growing up in the inner city. Because, hell, you got people who are like 19 that don't even get a chance to see 19. Yeah.
Well, I said we went to school with a lot of people who didn't get to see 21.
Yeah. And it's something because I feel that even the people who graduated in the classes after us, I've heard, my cousin Johnny Smith, graduated 2015. He was gunned down, a mistaken identity. And that hit me hard, man. That really did. And then, of course, now our fellow classmate, Christian Spencer. Now, he was not gunned down, but he died of cancer. I did not know that until years later. And when I got worried about that, it hit me hard. Although I would see Christian in our homeroom and everything too. He played football, of course, too. I really didn't talk with him much, but whenever we did have interactions, it was positive.
Yeah.
But I always send on social media to the Spencer family my condolences. It's just something, especially cancer.
Yeah.
Like, you hear about the typical thing like gun violence and stuff like that too, but cancer, man. You never know what a person's going through until you actually hear their story. So I do send my condolences out to the Spencer family, if you could, when you do get this message. We have to provide a service for the next generation, man. No matter if it's you're into music. I'm there's a lot of musicians in the world that use their platform for positive, and then some who use their platform for not so positive. But for you, sir, who has a platform, I'm sure you use your platform for positive.
That's the goal. Yeah. So speaking of musicians and stuff like that, I noticed that you were able to shake hands with people like Collin and shake hands with people like Michael Ealy, and I say those two, David Banner. I say those people particularly because those are also people who have been known to use their platforms to speak up on issues. Collin, Michael Ealy, David Banner often always speak about the injustice, speak about the changes that needed to be made and you're shaking hands with these people. How is that feeling knowing that these people that you're shaking hands with in higher places are also fighting for the same cause that you are, though?
You know what? I think we kind of, when we have a name in the face, what we call it, a brand.
Yeah.
We do call it a civil brand. So let's just put it out there. And their brand.
Yeah.
Common, David Banner. We grew up with their music.
Mm-hmm.
They're also actors and actresses out in the world too. So it's like, for me, I got introduced to them not through so much of the political window, but more of the literature and entertainment window.
Yeah.
So whenever I have one of my connects say, "Oh, hey, this person such and such is going to be in Cleveland or the surrounding area," if I have time to go out, I will go out, meet with them, have, maybe like a 5-minute window. I don't have their personal number, but I do have my business cards, and I will send it to their representatives or them directly. And I say, "Listen, I'm a human rights advocate. I've seen you do work. You give books back to the kids and literature, and you donate money to charities and even for just boys and girls clubs and everything too. So I would like to work with you." Now, of course, they look at me. I'm the fresh new face.
Yeah.
They're like, "We're not from Cleveland, man," but I'm happy for anybody who's in a position to actually step up to them, not to be intimidated, and actually wants to work with them. It takes a whole lot. And a lot of people say to me, they're like, "Man, you be meeting everybody," And I figure that's what you have to do when you have a purpose on what you want to give back, because it's like this. I don't got the money Common and David Banner do. I'm not a millionaire. I'm you can call me a middle class citizen if you want to, sure. But the thing is, though, I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
I can't do this alone.
Mm-hmm.
So with the level that they're on, I would, of course, I have a mission and they have a mission. They might need me to fulfill their mission, and possibly that I might need them to fulfill the mission that I need to accomplish. And mostly it's to provide service for those who need me. So I don't hesitate to shake hands with Collin or David Banner, Michael Ealy, and if the window of opportunity is there, I'm going to take it. It is, because who knows? I might not even see them again.
Yeah.
But if you have a shot, take it.
You ever been in the gym and you knew, like, man, I gotta put that work in today, but you just ain't having enough energy?
I know exactly what you're talking about, bro. Just that little extra man, but I'm good.
So let me tell you what I do.
Okay.
I visit Redcon One. They have an app, they have a website, and I got this Total War.
Oh, okay.
They got pre-workouts just like this Total War that I got. They got other supplements that you can use, and they got merchandise. So what you can do is download the app or visit the website. Use my discount code DMerritt1208. 20% off your purchase, man.
I said, listen, my guy.
So I know you said earlier. Well, first of all, I plan on doing the same thing, bro. Taking those shots, just because, like I said, this is a perspective-based show. My goal is to bring deep thinkers, people who are out here trying to make moves for the positive, to come here and speak on their perspectives on why they do what they do. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, that's why I brought you on, because I've seen that you were out here doing things, and I know that your perspective on whatever you've been through is pushing you to be the public servant that you are today. So to our viewers, I know you say you don't necessarily like to use the word politician. But for people who are not well versed on policies, politicians, politics, what are some things that you could say at baseline people absolutely need to know?
Oh man, there's a lot of things people need to know. Especially as if you're coming up, and once again, if you're not provided with sources or resources that will inform you about these things, like such as how old you have to be to register to vote, or like, hey, when is it time to vote? Now, I'll say this: voting takes place. There's an election every year, no matter if it's for candidates or an issue, but it's an election every year from local to statewide, federal, presidency, governor, U.S. Senate. It's an election every year. And once again, we didn't always have the availability to vote.
Yeah.
And when I say us, I mean as in people of color.
Yeah.
But now that we do have it, we have to use this tool to get our voices heard. Now, I must admit, 2020 presidential election between Biden and Trump, I really wasn't a fan of either one of the candidates. But, they're saying the vote for the lesser two evils. I'm like, I have to vote. I just can't sit out and not vote. I have to vote. I voted. And we had a president. And did I like certain things that the president did? No matter if it was Biden or Trump. No, I didn't. I didn't like some of the policies that they did. Either I thought it was like a big controversial. But I'm like, you know what? They're still the president. If I got invited to the White House, I've never been to the White House, but if I got invited to the White House, no matter if it was Biden, Trump, VP Harris, I would go. I would. Because I need to sit with the person who's in that seat. Now, I might not like the person, the person's character, but it's the title that I need in order to get things done. U.S. senators, U.S. congresspeople. I might not like that person's character, but it's the person in the seat. It's the seat that I need to work with that person. U.S. senator, congressperson. Okay, they have the title. I have to connect with them. I'm a human rights advocate. I have voters that I represent. Now, once again, this is not an elected position. This is a man-made position. I put myself in this position because I felt that as a voter, we as human beings are not being heard. And the issues that I represent, human and sex trafficking, which is a very big issue. No matter if you're in a small town or big city, human and sex trafficking is a very big issue. Voter reform. You'd be so surprised how many politicians always try to change the system so that way a certain type of person won't get a chance to vote. And once again, the system was not always supportive of people of color to vote. But now that we do have a system to vote, we have to use it to get our voices heard. Okay, let's do something else. Let's do something else. Listening to 45, who's currently been reelected, healthcare. Yeah, healthcare is a big issue, and that's something that's recently been added to my many things to fight for. Now, you have seniors who do Medicaid and Medicare. I have grandparents that do that. They might do Buckeye Health or some type of other name of healthcare. But once again, listen, you can't take healthcare away from humanity.
I agree.
Yeah, because listen, I don't have millions of dollars in the bank. I can't buy a hospital and buy every doctor in a hospital. No. Healthcare is a very important thing, especially when you're a parent. Yeah. When you're a parent and you work a job that gives you benefits, you put your kids on your healthcare plan. Something happens, your kids are covered. Yeah, your wife is covered. Your family's covered. But if you try to take that away from them, it's going to make life a little harder. Yeah, sure, you go to work, you get a paycheck, but you're like, how am I supposed to take care of my family if I don't have health care? My kids get sick. The money that I'm making from my job, that can only stretch for so far. So healthcare is a very important issue when it comes to humanity. Yeah. And you try to take it away from us, we're going to put up a fight to get it back.
So let me ask you this, and this is something that I didn't necessarily plan to ask, but you just sparked my interest. We talk about healthcare for entrepreneurs. The fact that they don't have that, is that how do you feel about that? Do you think that's fair? Because I personally don't think that's fair. If I wanted to come out here and create my own business, and I wanted to make it off of my own merit, but I can't have health care, Do you think that, like, what do you think about that? Because I personally think if you have no, excuse my language, I think that's bullshit.
Well, you do have the right of free speech. I mean, as long as you don't go around threatening anybody. But but consider this though. I figure when you are an entrepreneur and obviously you're managing your own company and like it's just you don't have any employees. I mean, yeah, healthcare, yeah, you operate under LLC. Healthcare, is going to be pretty hard for you to come, when it's just you. Now, if you're working for a corporate company, possibly like a Amazon or FedEx or UPS or it's just something like that, yeah, you get healthcare, of course, because it's a government franchise. It's a corporate franchise. Yeah. But when you're your own boss, of course, and yeah, healthcare is going to be pretty much hard to come out.
Do you think that's done purposely though?
Man, shoot. Well, if you're looking at the system, in some ways, I possibly think it is. It's not possibly not 100%, but in some ways, I do think it is probably halfway. Not the greatest thing.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to get at. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like I understand it will be harder to get healthcare, being that you're under the LLC and you're trying to make it on your own merit. But why is my thing? Why is it that we're not qualified if I'm trying to build my own? Because legitimately, bro, like if you look at the way these bills be before your insurance pick it up, it's ridiculous, bro. Mm-hmm. You go to the doctor for something that you think is simple, you get that message on my chart like $20,000, bro. I was in the hospital for an hour. what is? Hold it up to the light. Like, am I reading this right?
Well, you're dealing with clinics such as Cleveland Clinic or University Hospital. They're $1 million businesses. Based on people's health.
Yeah.
They save lives.
Yeah.
But sometimes they also don't save lives.
And I've dealt with that before too, man. I honestly I had a situation recently to where I heard 3 different things about my particular health. And I was confused. I'm like, I thought y'all, you know what I'm saying? That's my issue too, is when you go to these people who essentially, y'all taking money out of my check to make sure that I'm covered for health care. But then when I go to the hospital, I've had multiple situations where the doctors did not know what was wrong.
Mm. It's something about that because you have many doctors. You have many doctors for different things. I mean, you might have a heart surgeon. You might have a pediatrician. There are doctors of different things, of course. So when you go and check on your health, you might hear one thing from this doctor. You might hear a different thing from this doctor, of course. But the fact that you actually care about yourself so much and love yourself so much to actually put yourself in a position to actually get yourself physically checked out. Because one thing I do know is that some men, they're very similar.
I used to be that way.
Yeah, and they be like, and they got the guy who's been married for 40 years, his wife gets concerned, he's having a call for him, might have a bit of a leg cramp or something like that. She's concerned. He's like, oh, baby, I'm all right. But it is something because for him, he's like, I don't like doctors. I just don't trust the system. They always trying to get on me and they're trying to make a quick buck, something like that. It's crazy. But one thing about it though, and here's another reason. I figure that some people that don't like to go to the doctor, especially men, they don't go to the doctor because they go to the doctor to get one thing to figure out, but they end up finding something else is wrong with them as well. And they may be a pre-diabetic. And they'll be like, oh damn, I gotta stop eating bacon. I gotta fuck on my cholesterol, and I gotta walk more. Be more physically active, because once again, especially if you're a family, your family wants you to be around as long as you can. 75 is usually the age limit on where life ends. 75 Christmases, 75 springs, 75 summers, 75 years of life. That's usually the age on where life ends for you. That you are in the position of passing on. But I've seen people outlive 75, maybe 110, maybe 150. Have they taken care of themselves? In some ways, yeah. Or in some ways, it may be just because the good Lord has blessed them with a purpose. And once again, purpose.
I get what you're saying. So like even if more so like the doctors don't know, it's still important for you to check on yourself.
Of course.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Of course.
So I also, during that interview with Sarah White, you said that as of now that you were helping candidates run for public office, and you said you were thinking of running again when the time was right. What does the right time look like to run again? I didn't research, bro.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're on YouTube. Oh man, I can say this. Learned a lot from my council race back in 2021.
Gotta fix the couch. Cut that out. Go ahead.
So the thing is though. So the thing is though, when you know about how the process works really, and you feel that, okay, I ran for public office. I didn't get the help that I wanted, who I thought had my back. But once you meet somebody with charisma, no matter how old or young they are, and they say, hey man, I heard you ran for public office. I might need some advice. Or I might need your help. And I say, well, let me see what you're all about. Let's have a conversation, let's talk. What are the issues that you want to fight for? What position do you want to run for? Are you just in it for the fame and the money? Or are you doing it because you actually want to help people? That's the things you want to have to figure out because you know how the process works. And you're trying to help somebody who's never been through the process, but who's trying to go through the process, but they don't have the help that they need. Because at that time, you remember back when you ran, and you feel like, okay, I didn't have the help that I need, but I'm going to provide the help. So that way I can help them the way how the people didn't help me. Mm-hmm. So I'm having conversations with first-time candidates who are running for Cleveland City Council right now. And, of course you say picking the mind. And I say, well, first of all, you're going to have to make a name for yourself. 2, you're going to have a team. 3, campaigns cost money. So, and that's one thing I learned, that campaigns do cost money. I was pretty much self-funded when I was running for Cleveland City Council. I was in my young 20s, mid-20s at the time, and did one term as precinct committeeman, and which really wasn't the biggest political seat in Cleveland. It was a seat that was kind of like the lowest of the political body, local. But it depends how you choose to make the position. You can choose to stay within the precinct, do what you do. Or you can make all the legendary politicians know who you are. You say, hey, I'm an elected official just like you. Now, I'm no U.S. senator or congressperson or governor. But hey, listen, I need to connect with you because once again, you need to know what's happening locally so that way you can take that to Columbus or Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And I need to connect with you because I need to know the things that's happening in D.C. or Columbus that I can tell people back in my precinct or who I represent as well. So it's one thing to actually endorse a candidate, but it's the reasons why you choose to endorse a candidate. You say, oh yeah, I'm a legendary man, I'm going to endorse this candidate. But why are you endorsing them? Because I feel that this candidate is going to make a big impact in this ward or district or wherever whatever neighborhood they're going to be elected in. And even if you're just getting started, some people run just to make a name for themselves at that time. And that's a good way to start. You might not defeat the 15-year incumbent, but it's a good start. And I learned just the hard way. Yeah. But it's all about the issues that you're going to fight for. And are you going to represent everybody in your community, not just Democrats or Republicans or independents? And you're fighting for a position that you are trying to represent people here. Mm-hmm. Have town halls, meet the people that you're thinking about representing. But just don't be a shadow. Be like, I'll go to Columbus and collect this check and go to the fancy dinners and all that stuff too. But I'm like, if you're just doing that just to do that, then what the heck, So when you're running, have a heart, have a reason to run, not just because of the fame or the money or whatever like that. It's almost because you want to help people. Yeah, I'm seeking to run for public office in the near future. I'm not going to announce, but I'm looking to run for public office in the near future. And I feel the reason why I would run for said position because I feel that with the title, I can be a part of the process. Now, it's one thing to be an advocate. You can go anywhere. Of course, you can shake hands with Republicans, Democrats. You can meet with everybody. But when you have a title, of course, you're limited to certain things. But you're in the chair to actually make the change that the people need. Yeah. So, as an activist, as an advocate, yeah, they see you, but it's not. You're only going to have so many eyes on you. But when you're a title holder, that's what mostly all eyes on you, because you have the power of the pen, legislation. You have the power to speak in the chambers. You say, Mr. or President, I am stating the fact that the people that I represent in my ward or district, that they do not agree with the legislation that I present, and also I do not agree. But the thing is, though, if it's something that's going to help the people in the neighborhood, then I'm going to take a chance and put it out there. Once again, Cleveland Public Schools. We grew up, Dr. Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon, he was the CEO of the Cleveland Public Schools. I would see him time to time. And when I speak to people who worked in the Cleveland Public Schools, I say, what do you think is the biggest problem when it comes down to public schools? Funding. There's not enough money when it comes to funding public schools. People want their children to go to charter schools. People want their kids to go to like different schools other than public schools. I understand that it's better education, but it may cost a lot for them to do, for them to put their kids in school. That's why you choose public schools, because it's free. But the thing is, though, if they don't have the funding for the public schools, then yes, we as parents, we're going to struggle. If the district says we don't have the money, but I'm like, if you could afford brand new metal detectors instead of buying brand new books, then I'm like, that's a problem. We need to, and once again, another parent, but once again, having nieces and nephews who go to public schools, funding is a top issue. Now, if I have to meet with the governor, the U.S. Senator, or the congressperson to make this issue known, then so be it. Because once again, we all have the power of free speech. Let them know what the issues are. Because even for me, I remember as an elected official, there's only so much ground that I can cover.
Yeah.
I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I would tell the people that I was elected to represent, I was like, listen, let me know. Tell me things that I need to know, because once again, it's just me here. Let me know about block club meetings. Let me know about if this kid is struggling. I can provide a tutor. I can make some calls. Let me see what I can do. But if I don't know certain things, then how am I supposed to make those moves?
I'm about to ask you a question, dog. Do you feel that because you're actually trying to make a real change, that, how do I want to put this? What you're trying to do is what is actually needed.
Do I feel what I'm trying to do is actually needed?
No. I'm saying what you're trying to do is actually needed. But do you feel as though, I guess, you're intimidating the system because you're actually trying to do what's needed?
Man, in some ways, I do have people, elected officials and activists that I used to be close with that are kind of disconnected with me now. And I've heard stories about this. Dr. King, Malcolm X. They during their times of leading to their assassinations. You had the government, they tap their phone calls. They would basically like spread like just terrible rumors about them, because they found them to be threatening to the system.
David Bell talking about that, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, and once again, learning about Dr. King and Brother Malcolm and just other activists who they find threatening to the system. So what they had to do, you had to assassinate them. I feel as this: if I don't want to be a threat to the system, I want to help the system. Definitely change it though, because once again, I'm like, if you elect like young and like bright-sided people to the seat, or even just getting an activist involved, they can provide a brand new viewing of something that's been in the dark for way too long. Shine it up a little bit, bring it into the light, because once again, you have these, and I've met some of these elderly voters who says, why do we keep electing all these old people in these seats? Why not pass it to the young people? And maybe because the person who's been in power for so long, who's been a councilman for like 40 years, finds the youth to be intimidating, find them to be a threat to their process. You can say in the campaign speech, someone says, I want to connect with the youth. I want to work with the other side, politically, whatever. But once again, and then once you get reelected or elected, you just go back to you just go behind a wall and just come out for a photo op, and then you do your little campaign speech, and everything too. So once again, we talk about passing of the torch. I'm like, okay, if you're not going to pass the torch, you can talk about passing the torch, but you're not going to pass the torch, then the next generation is going to come and take it. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, because I ran against a 16-year guy. He didn't talk about passing the torch. I showed up, I put my hand on the torch, and I played a game of tug of war.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, I didn't win, but the fact that I tried, that put me in a position to keep on going. Now, the seat that I'm considering running for is open seat. There's no income. I figure running for open seat is way more easier than running against an incumbent. Now, every now and then, a incumbent might fall, but if you're running for open seat, it's open season. Put your face out there, put your name out there, connect with the voters. And you're a voter. I'm a voter. Don't talk to them like a politician. Sure, you might have to use political work, vocabulary, and everything too, but you say, no. I decided to run for public office because I got tired of, just sitting on my couch and complaining. I'm going to actually get a petition, collect signatures, and run for public office myself. No. Do I have a college degree? No. I went to trade school. And I learned about everything in the political process by watching other politicians and also reading books from the library. So I got an idea on how the system possibly might work. But once I get in there, then I'll be able to make my voice heard with the voters that I was elected to represent. I'll be able to make the change that is needed. And I can be elected as a Democrat or Republican. And if I can't get the sources that I need from my political party, if I have to go to the other side to get those sources or resources to provide service for the people that I was elected to represent, then so be it. Now, the Democrats might not like me because, once again, they might see me shaking hands with a Republican. I'm like, listen, we live in Ohio. Ohio is what you call a red state. Now, like the last Democrat that probably won Ohio was probably President Obama. Like, Trump has won Ohio on both times he had ran and won. So, yeah, we have a Republican governor, some Republican senators, Bernie Moreno, and Houston.
Yeah.
If I have to connect with them, even as an activist or as an elected official, to get things done for the people, then I will do that. I will do that because it's the position that I need. Well, if I might not like Bernie Moreno, his character. I might not like John Husted, his character. But they are in the position that I need to bring resources on the behalf of the people that I was elected to represent, if I was elected official.
Damn, man. But I will say I give you kudos for that, because a lot of people will not understanding your, I'm not going to say enemy, but understanding your enemy in order to achieve success. And I remember back in the day, not back in the day, but like a while back, people were coming for Ice Cube's head because Ice Cube said he wanted to sit down with Donald Trump. And everybody was like, why would you want to sit down? Why would you not try to understand what you're up against? Now, again, I'm not big into the left versus this or this versus that, but I understanding what you're up against, or understanding the things that you need to do in order for you to make the change that you're trying to make. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my last question will be, Tawayne McGee, the human rights activist, what is your message to the people that you're trying to serve?
Message. Man, I can come up with a whole book. but just to make it short, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm no Jesse Jackson. I'm no Reverend Al Sharpton. And locally, I'm no Mayor Justin Bibb. Although Justin Bibb, he's running for re-election. He did one term as mayor. I wish him well. I remember running with him when I ran for councilman.
Yeah.
And people came after him. I like to send a message to former Cleveland City Councilman Bashir Jones. You know, he's currently in a position where obviously some people feel like he shouldn't be in, but based on society, you know, he's serving this.
I honestly haven't looked too much into that, but you used to be very close to Bashir.
Yeah, man. I love his poetry. I still watch his stuff, man. And I don't know everything that I know about the when his time as a councilman, within the troubles that he has been in when he was a councilman, and now he's paying his debt back to society.
Yeah.
But I do wish him well. But I was very still inspired by his activism.
Yeah.
And definitely his poetry. So I do wish him well, and look forward to seeing him in the future. I'm here, and I'm here to provide a service. And for anybody who wants to be a public servant, you know, you don't have to have a college degree to be a public servant. Man. You can be from the milkman. I might be going way back in the day. The mailman, the father, husband, something like that, man. I mean, like, just in your heart, man. Just know that you have a purpose. And with said purpose, you might not know it when you first come into this world, but once you do have it, just try to do your best.
That's beautiful, man. That is absolutely beautiful. Do you have social media that you would like to put out?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, on a little bit of Instagram. McGee for Clee, MCGEE, FORCLE on Instagram, Facebook, Tawayne McGee, YouTube, Tawayne McGee. Just see my interviews on there, and if you need to reach out to me, email us Tawayne McGee, TAWAYNE MCGEE @gmail.com. I'll be happy to take questions or attend events if you have, just wanted to be a part of public service. You know, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, I just want you to know, bro, I support you in all your endeavors. I wish you nothing but the best. Again, it is an honor to speak to someone of an ilk like yours, and I'm supporting you, bro. So thank you for coming out, man.
Hey, Mr. Merritt.
And remember to stream Von Merritt's music, and make sure you guys go support my guy right here. This has been another episode of the Parlance Podcast. Stay tuned for more. I love you, and peace out, y'all.